The Taiwan Strait, a narrow waterway separating mainland China and Taiwan, has become a focal point of global anxiety. At the heart of this tension lies China's long-standing claim over Taiwan, which it views as a breakaway province. While Beijing has repeatedly stated its preference for peaceful reunification, the possibility of a forceful takeover looms large. Among the various military options available to China, a blockade of Taiwan stands out as a particularly perilous strategy, one with the potential to ignite a wider conflict with global ramifications. A blockade, in its essence, is an act of economic warfare. It involves cutting off a target's access to essential supplies and resources, aiming to cripple its economy and morale. In the context of Taiwan, a blockade could take various forms, each with its own set of risks and rewards for China. Understanding these scenarios is crucial for policymakers and observers alike, as the world grapples with the potential for a major power conflict in the Taiwan Strait. The stakes could not be higher. Taiwan, a vibrant democracy and a technological powerhouse, plays a pivotal role in the global economy. A conflict in the Taiwan Strait would have devastating consequences, disrupting supply chains, triggering economic turmoil, and potentially drawing in major powers like the United States. As such, the possibility of a Chinese blockade of Taiwan demands our utmost attention and a sober assessment of the risks involved. The most aggressive and dangerous form of blockade China could impose on Taiwan is a complete kinetic blockade. This scenario involves deploying the full might of the People's Liberation Army Navy to physically prevent any ships from entering or leaving Taiwanese ports. Warships, submarines, and aircraft would patrol the waters around Taiwan, enforcing the blockade through a combination of interceptions, boardings, and even the use of force. A complete kinetic blockade would be a massive undertaking, requiring a sustained naval and air campaign. China would need to mobilize a significant portion of its military assets, potentially stretching its forces thin. Moreover, such a brazen act of aggression would almost certainly elicit a strong international response, including potential military intervention from the United States and its allies. The economic and political fallout from a complete kinetic blockade would be immense. Taiwan, heavily reliant on maritime trade, would see its economy grind to a halt. Global supply chains would be thrown into disarray, leading to shortages and price spikes worldwide. The international community would condemn China's actions, potentially imposing crippling sanctions and isolating Beijing on the world stage. Furthermore, a complete kinetic blockade carries a high risk of escalation. Mistakes happen in the heat of confrontation, and a miscalculation or accident could easily spiral into a full-blown war. The potential for a wider conflict involving nuclear-armed powers makes this scenario a nightmare scenario that all sides would be desperate to avoid. A more subtle yet equally insidious form of blockade China could employ is a mining blockade. This strategy involves deploying naval mines in key shipping lanes around Taiwan, creating a formidable underwater barrier. The presence of mines, whether real or perceived, would disrupt maritime traffic, as shipping companies would be hesitant to risk their vessels and cargo. A mining blockade offers China a degree of deniability, as mines are difficult to attribute to a specific actor. It also poses a significant challenge to Taiwan and its allies, as mine clearance operations are time-consuming and dangerous. Moreover, the mere threat of mines could be enough to deter shipping companies, effectively imposing an economic blockade without firing a single shot. However, a mining blockade is not without its risks. Mines are indiscriminate weapons, and there is always the danger of civilian ships, including those from neutral countries, falling victim to these hidden dangers. International condemnation would be swift and severe in the event of civilian casualties, potentially triggering a strong response from the international community. Moreover, the effectiveness of a mining blockade depends on China's ability to maintain control over the minefields. Taiwan and its allies possess sophisticated mine-hunting capabilities and could potentially neutralize the threat, rendering the blockade ineffective. A mining blockade, while potentially less provocative than a complete kinetic blockade, still carries significant risks for China and could easily backfire. The third scenario, a limited blockade, offers China a more calibrated approach, allowing it to exert pressure on Taiwan without resorting to a full-blown naval campaign. This strategy involves selectively targeting certain types of vessels or cargo while allowing others to pass through. For instance, China could choose to block ships carrying military equipment or crucial raw materials, while permitting the flow of consumer goods. A limited blockade allows China to fine-tune its economic pressure on Taiwan, gradually escalating or de-escalating the situation based on Taipei's response. It also provides Beijing with greater flexibility in terms of international diplomacy, as it can argue that it is not imposing a complete blockade, but rather taking targeted measures to protect its core interests. However, a limited blockade is not without its challenges. Enforcing such a blockade would require a significant naval presence and constant monitoring of maritime traffic. It would also require China to clearly communicate its intentions and the criteria for allowing vessels to pass through, reducing the risk of miscalculation or unintended escalation. Moreover, a limited blockade, while potentially less damaging to Taiwan's economy than a complete blockade, would still have significant economic ramifications. Global supply chains would be disrupted and businesses operating in Taiwan would face uncertainty and disruptions. The international community, while perhaps less inclined to intervene militarily, would likely condemn China's actions and explore diplomatic or economic countermeasures. If you found this content insightful, please consider subscribing to our channel. We appreciate your support.